What's up, y'all? I'm Black Talent Sport. Welcome back to the channel. Today's video, I got a little something very different for you guys. I figured I'd mix it up a little bit. Plus, I got an idea from my last video. So today's video, I'm going to be just basically giving you guys some of my background, and then also primarily this video is going to be about how to pick the right turbo for your build. Hopefully I won't bore you guys with my background information. Just stick around because it's all going to come together as you go along in the video. You'll understand why I'm giving you my background first. Let's get into today's video. Oh, but first, before we go any further, I remind you guys to please continue to smash that like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell, make sure it's on all so that you'll get notified when I come out with these videos. I'd greatly appreciate it. Alright, so I'm going to get right into the video here. It's basically, I'm going to start off with my background first, just so you kind of understand where I'm coming from and why I do some of the things I do, especially when it comes to this YouTube channel and also my build with my Explorer. All right, you know, cars was literally my first passion. As I was a kid, I can have early memories of watching the cars go by. I was like maybe sub 5 years old. I was watching cars go by and saying, every car is my car. That's my car. That's my car. And eventually I got to the point where I could name the car that it is by recognizing the shape and so forth and so on. I was able to name each car. My very first car that I remember really liking was a Firebird. It was black. It had the Firebird on the hood, the gold Firebird on the hood. And then it was Knight Rider. I grew up really liking Knight Rider. He kicked the car, you know, talking, and that red light going back and forth. So then as I got a little older, still keeping with the passion of cars, you know, I got into video games. And I used to always play video games, man. Car games mostly car games. Didn't really play too much of any other type of video games. When Gran Turismo finally came out, oh man, I was home. Then followed by Forza. And those are the two main games that I really liked to play because they were pretty much like simulators, you know. Those two games, they really started to teach me a lot about, you know, cars and making them go faster and so forth and so on. We got to the point where I was like, yo, I wonder if this is real, or, you know, can you actually do that with cars in real life, you know? And then, you know, fast forward to like maybe 97. You know, when I was on a 46 bus, I used to always past this one shop and they always had Supras outside. I was like, yo, Supra was my favorite car, by the way. I was like, man, there are all these Supras out here every day, like clockwork. So I decided that you know, I said I should go there to see if they want to, you know, give me a job or teach me, you know, teach me how to do what I do in the game. So, you know, I got enough boldness up. One day, I went to them, and the shop was called Tri-State Auto Works. I went to them and asked. I didn't feel comfortable asking for a job because I knew I wasn't any good, had no experience. So I asked them if they could just train me. You know, train me. I would like to learn. I want to learn about cars. I told them, you know, my experience with the games, and I wanted to see if that's possible to do, and you know, learning what works and what doesn't work and so forth and so on. And they basically said, man, you came here at the right time. Very good time. And actually that was the weekend before the shop was due to open. So they took me on as an apprentice. Did that for a year. You know, my first car that I ever worked on, you know, wrenched on anything, was MK3 Supra. Was my favorite car. It kind of still is, you know, Supras in general. So that was what I learned on. So did that for about a year. After that year, unfortunately that shop closed up or so. Some other issues unbeknownst to me. And basically when that shop closed up, my heart was broken. I was like, wow, what am I going to do now? So I basically said, well, I could just go to school for it. So that's what I did. I went to Apex Technical School in Manhattan. Got certified to work on cars and ASC certified. And after that, I went and got me a job at Toyota as a service tech. After Toyota, I went on to Hyundai. After Hyundai, I went on to working for Pep Boys, which I stayed there for quite some time. And then after that, I basically left the service side of things and went to work for a credit union for too many years. So I basically left cars there, but throughout that whole process, basically when I left the shop, I still wanted to learn, and the only way I could do that was to be reading all of the import magazines that came out. Import Tuner, all the Modified, all the import, every magazine that had import cars in them, I had a subscription to it, and I was stacking them, reading them and stacking them, just trying to keep abreast with what's out there, what's available, and who's doing what at the races. And I used to go to the racetrack with the shop. So I would just kind of try to keep myself learning within what's going on with cars and performance work. It was always something that's a part of me. I actually remember even I used to do something. This is where I'm coming to with this part of the video. For fun, just because I like to do this kind of thing, I used to come up with what I would call at the time was parts list. But what you would call it nowadays a build sheet. I would pick a car, either a car that I like or just a random car, and then I would challenge myself to come up with a parts list for what parts are available for that particular car. You see how we're coming around full circle now? So I would do that. I mean, I still have one on my computer, my favorite, of course, the MK3. So I would come up with these build sheets based on what's available. I look up what parts is available and see that I just put up a list and say, if I had some money, I would get this car and this. I had a nice little list. This is what I would do to it. I really enjoyed doing that. Just for fun too, just for fun. Yeah, so basically, after collecting all the magazines and around that time, basically, after that, I should say, I was basically getting married, and I was living with my mother before then, and I had this stack of magazines that were just like a fire hazard. It was stacks and stacks and stacks and stacks, and I had them all in this very big closet that I had, and I had to get rid of them. It's kind of hard to do, but I had to, you know what I'm saying? So, I still kept the passion, still keeping up to date with what's going on on YouTube and so forth, so other YouTubers that are racing. And then next, to get back into the game after, my previous vehicle was totaled, I got the Explorer. And here I am now, basically just enjoying it, doing what I like to do with it, with its performance and getting done what I need to get done with it as far as work as well. And now I have this YouTube channel, so it's just my chance again to get into enjoying tuning and staying abreast with racing and what's going on and so forth and so on. Which is going to lead me to this video. After my last video that I made, I was making the corrections with the ATP turbos, and then discovering, at least being made aware of turbo bay performance and them actually building their turbos to custom specification, that sparked something that I used to do. I used to look at a chart that Turbonetics had on their website. I was looking at their website today, and I don't see that particular chart. And I was like, man, I wish I had this chart. But then I remembered, I was looking through my laptop. It's right there on my laptop. So let's take a quick look at this flow chart. And basically, this flow chart, let me explain. This flow chart is a chart that Turbonetics had, wherein you could select in terms of picking a turbo. If you wanted to pick a turbo, they had this really nice chart. And as you can see there, it's you have your horsepower there. I'm sorry, your displacement, the size of your motor on the left, and the horsepower on the bottom and the top. And on the right is a reference, a 10 psi reference. And basically, you just from what liter your motor is to what horsepower you actually want to make, where they meet, that's the turbo that that they offered for you. I loved that chart. I used to reference that chart constantly. And I'll show you what I mean by that as well. So let's take a quick look at it. Okay, so let us take a quick look at this Turbonetics turbo chart. Keep in mind that there on the left you have your displacement, and on the bottom you have the horsepower. See, that's the displacement right there for the 3.5, and at the right side there is the horsepower we're looking at here is 600. So keep that in mind. It's going to be the blue column after the yellow, and the PSI is going to be at 10. So when you go to line up the two, the liter versus the horsepower, you come up with those two options there. You got the T70-P with the 68.68 AR as the first option, and then the bottom option is a T66-P with the same .68 AR. One other thing I'm going to need you to keep in mind that this is for a single turbo application. Now, if you have a V application, in our case it's like a the V6. You can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I'm sure it goes like this. You just divide it into two. So real quick, for like the 3.5 EcoBoost, we're going to look at the 2-liter column for the turbo, and the 300 column there at the bottom. So both of them together will make the 6. All right. So then when you line those up, you're going to get the turbo options that is available for the 3.5 liter EcoBoost motor. All right, so you're looking at there the TO4B-SV stage 2 with the .48 AR, and a TO4E-50 stage 2 with the same .48 AR. Now I'm looking at that basically the liter here as 4.0, because at some point I am going to get me a 4-liter motor, so that's why I opted to look for the 2-liter column. So just going up now here to the assumptions, skimming over it. Like I said before, 10 psi single turbo applications that you can split it up into two, premium fuels, V-band, and also the undivided flanges. Then at the bottom here, it's going to list the turbos. And just a little more relevant to us here, you can see the TO4E and B. The inlet is 3 inches and 2.75. So you know what that means, right? We cannot get the T51 mod on the inlets of our turbos to get that crazy turbo spool sound, because they need to be a minimum size of 4 inches. Now that chart was from 2004, I believe. So that was then. Around it was like early 2000s is when I discovered that particular chart. So it's listing that for 2004, sounds about right. Fast forward to today now. I was looking for this chart and I didn't see that particular one, but they do have one very similar. But another thing you got to keep in mind is today's Turbotech technology is very, very different. It's way more. Way more advanced. We are using way more better materials than what we were using, of course, back then. Just one of the features that I see that's just crazy to be thinking about is Turbonetics. They have on like the feed line to their turbos, or I believe it's the inlet where the oil feeds into the turbo. It has inline filter there. to filter the oil that's going into the turbo. I mean, that's crazy. That was unheard of way back then in the early 2000s, even before then. And to think that that's how far we've come, even like using billet materials, it's crazy, you know. But you know, that's technology, and that's how times go. Things just tend to get better, especially as the demand to going faster and people wanting to get more performance out of the turbos goes. So let us take a look at the new turbo chart that you can find on the Turbonetics website. Like, so basically, if you're looking to get a turbo, they now list the charts, which I did show a little small shot of that in the last video. They now list the charts to line up your leader with the horsepower. So let's take a quick look at that. So some of the newer turbos like this TNX30 series, if you click on the website, you can look up the specs of it there. It also at the bottom has the different combinations that this particular turbo comes in. You can look at the features there, and now this is the chart. You click on the turbo, you see the leader on the left and the horsepower on the bottom, so that you can do the same thing that we did by looking at the old chart. Up next, your tuner is going to love you if you provide him with this turbo efficiency chart, so that he can figure out what PSI to run for your application. It's pretty cool to see that they're still doing that. That actually came from their catalog, and it's listed as 2016, but I guess they haven't updated it because there's probably no need. They're still probably offering the same technology. There was another section in the catalog that I saw that I feel the need to share as well, because I think it's very important in terms of if you want to select your own turbo, you want to select a turbo for a particular build if you're not going to go with a turbo kit. So let's take a look at the rule of thumb that's listed there. I am going to be skimming through this, but basically you want to think about how much power you want to make. Have a target horsepower. Don't think too much about the boost pressure, because that's just basically a number that your tuner will have to run to make the power. You can also consider the usage of your build. You know, not just like you want to think about the response, or if you want the most of your power to be in the big end. And then there's also, you know, of course, with sizing and packaging, you also have to consider the size of the compressor housing and, you know, the turbine housing that you are selecting there. So in this section, we're going to pay more attention to the turbine housing. It says choose the smallest wheel diameter that meets the target engine horsepower level. Number 3, fine-tune the turbine side by choosing an appropriate housing. Boost response spool-up time is affected by both turbine wheel diameter and turbine housing, which is the AR. The AR sizing can be used as a tool to fine-tune the response range in the RPM band. The smaller the AR, the faster the turbocharger will be able to spool up. Similarly, choosing a larger housing and the setup will respond more slowly to throttle changes, but it will make more power on the big end. A little more about the AR side or the housing. Notice how tight the throat of the volute is on the right turbine housing. The smaller AR dramatically improves turbine response time. One other thing I would like to mention as well for picking out a turbo is, as it was mentioned in there in the what Turbonetics had listed, you know, picking a turbo which is relevant to myself. You know, like I prefer right now, based on my usage, a turbo that has good response and good mid-range power. You know, I'm not a drag racer, so I'm not looking for a turbo that's going to give me, you know, all my power up top. Although, I must say, in my heart, I am a top-end guy. I love to have the power up there. You know, I love to be able to catch up to a guy and beat him on the big end versus down low. I really don't care too much about what happens off the line or down low. I'm a top-end guy. I love to have my power on the top end. But again, because of my usage, you know, I daily my Explorer, use it for work, use it for my own little shenanigans, you know, my spirited driving, and I drive on the beach. So you know, you can't have it all, you know. So for me personally, I prefer a turbo that's really responsive and you know, decent power in the mid-range. So that's going to be my challenge when it comes to, for me, to select what turbos I'm going to go with, which I'm going to work with whomever I decide to go with. Most likely though, more and more I look around, it's probably going to be Turbo Bay Performance. I just have to, you know, consult them in terms of figuring out what's what, if what they're offering is not available by the time I'm ready, or what have you. Alright, well, that's going to wrap up this video. Hopefully I didn't bore you guys. If you stayed and made it to this far in the video, I really appreciate you guys for sticking with me. So this is something that I've never done for my channel before. It's not a DIY project. You know, it's not a video of driving or anything like that. But, you know, every now and again, I'll probably mix in something that's slightly different. So let me know in the comments below if you like this style of video, if you'd like to see more of it, or if you'd like to make any type of video suggestions. Let me know in the comments below. Make sure you guys are subscribing to the channel to stay up to date with what's happening, either with Bullet or the channel itself, or any information that may come forth. Alright, remember I do have another series that's still going on, Explore Power series, so make sure you're subscribed so you won't miss when I come out with those videos. Right? I want to thank you guys for watching. Please remember to have a blessed day, and peace out.